Good morning, students. Today we will read the chapter number 5, Quality of Honeycomb. So let's start. I knew him from the days of my extreme youth because he made my father's boots. He lived with his elder brother in his shop, which was in a small by street in a fashionable part of London. So, the chapter Quality is written by the writer John Galsworthy, and this story is about the German shoemakers Gessler brothers. So, the story starts with the description of the boot shop, and here the author says that he knows the bootmaker. He knows Mr. Gessler from his very young days, extreme very young days, because he made his father's boots, and the bootmaker lived with his elder brother in his shop, and his shop was very small and was situated in a small street in a fashionable part of London. Next stanza is the shop had a certain quite distinction. Distinction means difference. There was a little difference between his shop and another shop. There was no sign upon it other than the name of Gessler Brothers, and in the window a few pairs of boots. Means on top was the nameplate Gessler Brothers and a few shoes displayed on the window, and he made only what was ordered, and what he made never failed to fit. And Mr. Gessler made boots only on order, and whatever shoes he made were always perfect. They were never failed to fit. To make boots, such boots as he made, seemed to me then and still seems to me mysterious and wonderful. And here the writer says that Mr. Gessler's boots, Mr. Gessler's shoes were always mysterious. Were and are always mysterious. Mysterious means strange, and wonderful means awesome, outstanding. The third stanza is I remember well my shy remarks one day while stretching out to him my youthful foot. Isn't it awfully hard to do, Mr. Gessler? And his answer, given with a sudden smile from out of the redness of his beard, ID is an ARDT. In the third stanza, the author says that he still remembers his shy remarks. Shy remarks means embarrassing comment. What he had passed on the bootmaker, what he had passed on Mr. Gessler. While stretching out means extend by foot to Mr. Gessler. And he asks Mr. Gessler, isn't it awfully hard to do? Mr. Gessler, is not very hard for you to make such boots? And Mr. Gessler answers his question smiling. Out of the redness, his beard becomes red. And he says, ID is an ARDT, means it's an art. The next stanza is, it was not possible to go to him very often. His boots lasted terribly, having something beyond the temporary. Some essence of boot stitched into them. And here the author narrates one of his meetings with Mr. Gessler, and he says it was very difficult to go to him much because the shoes he made lasted very long. Terribly means lasted, and it seems some essence of food stitched into them means he stitched means sew something, and it seems as he sew something different into his boots. Okay, the next stanza is one went in not as into more shops but restfully as one enters a church and sitting on the single wooden chair waited a guttural sound and the tip-tap of his slippers beating the narrow wooden stairs, and he could stand before one without coat, a little band in leather apron with sleeves turned back, blinking as if awakened from some dream of boots. And the author says that his shop was very different from others' shop because one can sit there restfully. Restfully means to take rest. One can take rest on the chair. And his shop was just like a church because as we sit, as we go and sit in the church peacefully and restfully, same we can do in that shop, in his shop. And there was always put a single wood chair and we waited there. Suddenly, a guttural sound. Guttural means hard. Suddenly, a hard sound and the tip tap. Tip tap means sound of his slippers come from the wooden stairs, and he was always stand before everyone without coat. Means he never wears coat. He was little bent. He always wears leather apron. Apron? What is apron? A protective garment which we tied over clothes with sleeves turned back. His sleeves were always turned back. He always blinks as if awakened from some dream of brutes, as if he has just awakened from his dream of boots. And I would say, "How do you do, Mr. Gessler?" Then the author asks him, "How do you do, Mr. Gessler? Could you make me a pair of Russian leather boots?" Then the author asks him to make him a pair of Russian leather boots. Without a word, he would leave me, retiring whence he came or into the other portion of the shop, and I would continue to rest in the wooden chair, inhaling the incense of his trade. Soon he would come back holding in his hand a piece of gold brown leather. Okay? So, without a word, without saying even a single word, he would leave me. He would leave the author retiring. Retiring means to take rest. Whence he came, and when the bootmaker came, he went into the other portion of the shop, other area on the shop, and the author would continue to rest in the wooden chair, and he inhaling means to breathe in the incense means smell, and he inhales, he breathes in the smell of his trade, smell of his business. And what was his business? His business was to make boots. Soon he would come back holding in his hand a piece of gold brown leather. When the bootmaker comes back, there was a gold brown leather in his hand, and the author was seeing that piece of leather and says, "Oh, what a beautiful piece! Oh my God, it's a very beautiful piece." When I too had admired it, he would speak again. When the author admired it, admire means praise it. When the author praised that beautiful piece, he would speak, "Oh, when do you want them? Oh, if you like them, so when do you want them? Tell me the time." And I would answer, and then the author answered, "Oh, as soon as you conveniently can." As soon as you conveniently means suitable. As soon as you feel suitable. And he would say, "Tomorrow fortnight." And he said, "Okay, after 15 days." Or if he were his elder brother, "I will ask my brother." And he said, "Okay." And then in this case, "I will ask my brother." Then I would murmur, "Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Gessler." "Good morning," he would reply. Next day, he again goes to his shop and wishes good morning to him. And he answers back, "Good morning," still looking at the leather in his hand. And as I moved to the door, I would hear the tip-tap of his slippers going up the stairs to his dream of boots. Here, the author again hears the sound of his slippers which was coming from the stairs. I cannot forget that day on which I had occasion to say to him, Mr. Gessler, that last pair of boots creaked, you know. Then here in this stanza, in this paragraph, the author says, John Galsworthy says that he could never forget that chance. Occasion means that chance, that day, to say to him, Mr. Gessler, the last pair of boots you made creaked. Creak means squeak, a sound. And he looked at me for a time without replying. And then the bootmaker, Mr. Gessler, looked at the author for a minute and without replying means without saying, as if expecting me to withdraw or qualify the statement, as if he wants me to withdraw. Withdraw means to take back, or qualify means modify, to change that statement. What he had said to Mr. Gessler, then said, ID shouldn't have Greek. No, the bootmaker says, no, my shoes can never be Greek. It did, I'm afraid. But the author said, no, it did. You got them wet before they found themselves. Then bootmaker says to him, definitely you wet them. I don't think so, no. And the author says, no, I don't feel so, I don't think so. At that, he lowered his eyes as if hunting for memory of those boots, and I felt sorry I had mentioned this grave thing. Send them back, he said, I will look at them. At this, the bootmaker lowered his eyes and as if he was reminding, hunting for means reminding those boots that those were creaked, and I felt sorry I had mentioned this grave thing. And here the author is saying that he felt sorry, he felt very bad for mentioning this grave thing, this mean thing. Send them back, he said, I will look at them. And here the bootmaker says to him, send them back, just bring them back and I will look at them. Those boots, he continued slowly, are bad from birds. Then the bootmaker asked him, are they very bad from the beginning? If I can do nothing with them, I take them off your bill. And here the bootmaker says to the writer, says to the author that if he cannot do anything, if he fails to repair those boots, he will give his money back. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you, students.